Obviously, you guys know that. Let me do quick introductions. The two staffers that we have are going to talk about the endowment and fundraising. We have David, who's going to be talking about the endowment. He's Executive Vice President for Finance and Administration. And we have Tamara. There you go. Tamara. And she's the Associate Vice President of University Advancement. So in my head, from the last session, endowment guy, fundraising gal. Okay, because the two apparently are separate, but they do work together. And we're going to figure out how, right?
Amicably, I might.
And then we also have Helen Forster, class of 83. She's served on all three of the leadership boards since 2001, and she's currently on the Board of Trustees. And we have Susan Palmer, class of 67, and she served on the Alumni Board and is now serving on the Board of Trustees. And so we're going to have David and Tamara. Is it right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Tamara are going to talk first, and then we're going to have Susan talk, and then Helen's going to chime in as needed. We do know there are going to be some questions. That's great. We also want to keep focus, at least at the latest, by 2:30. I want to start filling up this pad with your ideas. Okay, it's generating ideas so we can see where our weaknesses are, so we can make them into strengths, where our strengths are, and make them even stronger, all right? So, with no further ado, David.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Endowment Guy. Never been described that way before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through how the endowment works, how we manage it, what we do in terms of forming investment policies, asset allocations, those sorts of things. And I'm going to try to do that within 5 minutes. That's a tall order, so bear with me. So when a gift comes in to Mary Baldwin, it goes through our esteemed colleagues in University Advancement, it is set up into a fund. It is separate from all other funds within the institution. So it's separately record kept. And then it's transferred to firm that actually manages our endowment, which is a company by the name of Wilmington Trust, which is a part of M&T Bank. And we've been with them since the early 2000s. We're actually right in the middle of an RFP process where we're evaluating alternatives for them right now. We're in what's called the due diligence phase. But what we do with Wilmington Trust, that relationship is one between the board and Wilmington Trust, and that was the byproduct of the RFP process, as I said earlier, in the early 2000s. So when you form this relationship, you have to develop what's called an investment policy. And so that's something that's informed based upon the individual risk tolerance of the institution. You have to think about where you are, and I'm not talking about an institution like the University of Richmond, Harvard, or something like that. What is the risk tolerance of your institution? How much, we can talk a little bit financial here, but what sort of balance sheet risk can you undertake? How much downside risk can you undertake in terms of if, for example, like we had with the global economic crisis, where most endowments lost at least 19%. What does that mean for your institution in terms of that loss? And how does that influence things like the Department of Education Fiscal Responsibility Index, debt covenants? How does Sachs, COC think about it? What do other accrediting bodies think about it? What about your bondholders? How about your primary bank that you work for? So you got to look at through all those lenses and consider what is that asset allocation going to look like as part of your investment policy. So that's a collaborative process between the Board of Trustees and, in this case, it was Wilmington Trust. So we went through a process where we evaluated different possible portfolios. So what does that mean? That's armed with that risk tolerance and how much downside. I got 3 minutes left. Talk fast moment. So you look at those possible portfolios and you run it through something called Monte Carlo analysis. And that takes thousands of iterations and it arrives at expected returns for different portfolios. And then you ask yourself, how do they match up with our risk tolerance, our tolerance for downside risk, those sorts of things. In Mary Baldwin, because, I don't want to digress too much, but because the institution had to rely so much on its endowment, particularly through the 1990s when you all saw in the report, the utilization rate was quite high. So it exited the tech bubble in 2003, if you were to add up all the historical gifts in the institution that ever received into the endowment and compare that to the market value of the endowment, the gifts were worth more than the market value. Gifts were worth more than the market value. So that meant, that's an indicator of the heavy utilization on the endowment. That forces more, that puts the institution in a particular place in terms of how it evaluates risk and how the portfolio is managed. So you fast forward from that, you hit the global economic crisis when everyone lost 19%. That forced the endowment further underwater, is what that's called. Okay, and that has pretty severe effects on financial statements of an institution, and it prompts you into a necessarily short-term sort of thinking. Sort of makes sense? So anyway, so the institution evaluates the performance of Wilmington Trust a couple different ways. And that includes holding them accountable for managing our portfolio within the investment policy. Oh, gosh, 1 minute. This is hard to do in a minute. Wilmington Trust is part of a contract called an Outsourced Chief Investment Officer Contract, OCIO. So that's a structure where rather than having a structure like a big institution where you have a chief investment officer on staff, very few small institutions have that, you outsource it, you give them the keys to the portfolio and say you manage it within that investment policy. We're going to hold you accountable for that. We're going to hold you accountable to meet expected returns that are within expected returns for that particular risk tolerance, that asset allocation, as well as we compare them to the performance of endowments through the NACUBO endowment study. And Mary Baldwin's endowment is performed very consistent with the endowment study. Question came up in the last group, well, what about the global economic crisis? You said you lost over 18%. That sounds like a lot. Well, most institutions, the median for the NACUBO endowment study was a loss of 19.1%. So we were slightly better than the median participants in that. And I'm probably out of time, so I'm sorry. That's as much time.
Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll shift over to Tamara.
I wanted to give you a little background on university advancement and how our office is organized. We have a portion of our staff that are committed to the philanthropic side, and that includes major gifts, annual fund, grant writing, all of that sort of thing. So we have people who have major gift portfolios. I'm one. Actually, we are very fortunate to have a president who has a work ethic that is unmatched by very few people. She has amazing work ethic. And she actually has a major gift portfolio. So one of her many, many hats that she wears is major gift officer. So she's the one that gets the Murphy Demings of the world and all of that to make those larger gifts to the college. Then we also have an advancement services side, and those are the people that properly record our gifts and make sure that they get those gifts get stewarded properly, make sure they get acknowledged properly. We have research, includes all of that background these background services. Then it also includes the Office of Alumni Relations. So those are the people that plan all of these events and these point of entry events for our alumni to keep our alumni engaged. Just to give you sort of a macro view of the campaign and how we're working our campaign right now and where we are with the campaign. As you all know, we're nearing the end of our $80 million Ever Ahead campaign. We kicked off the public phase. We launched the public phase in October of 2012, which incidentally was the same day that we broke ground on Murphy Deming College of Health Sciences, so it was quite an exciting day for Mary Baldwin University, Mary Baldwin College at the time. And at that moment, we were at about 59 million, which is a really good place to be based on the $80 million goal. That's a good place to be in going public. And now we're at $79,037,647 for the campaign. So we've still got another 962,000+ to raise before June 30th of this year for the successful completion of the Ever Ahead campaign. And just to give you an idea of the breakdown of that, the largest portion of the Ever Ahead monies that have been raised have been unrestricted. That's $27.9 million has been unrestricted. The next portion is endowment, and that's $15.9 million has been raised toward endowment during this campaign period. And then the rest of it is mostly capital gifts, special projects, campus enhancements, those kinds of things. So that's how the Ever Ahead campaign is broken down. Last fiscal year, we launched a special fund called the 175th Anniversary Fund in honor of our 175th momentous anniversary. And that's a $7 million goal, and that fund was intended, and this continues to be intended to be the capstone of the Overhead campaign. So as of last year, we had about another $7 million or so to raise toward reaching the successful completion of the Overhead campaign. And of that, we've raised about a little over $3 million, and that's dollars that were specifically allocated for, or have been specifically allocated towards 175th, and also any unrestricted dollars that have been raised in the last 2 years. So that's where we are there. Currently, we are in the midst of our annual fund. Thank you. We're in the midst of our annual fund, and we have a $2.1 million for annual fund, and right now with gifts in addition to pledges that are payable for this year, we're at $792,550. So we've got a long way to go to successfully complete our unrestricted fund for this year. Are there any questions at this point?
Participation last year, did you want to mention
Participation, typically our participation is around 18%. It was a little higher last year just because we did celebrate our 20th anniversary of Beagle, so a lot of our Beagle alumni gave, and that percentage was much higher than it normally is, but normally it's about 18%. In past years for all alumni, it's been as low as 14, 15%. So we've worked very diligently over the last, say, 3 or 4 years to get that participation rate up past 18%. So that part of it's getting better, but we still have a long way to go.
How does that compare to other same-sized college? How does that compare to other similarly situated colleges? 18%, is that about average?
Let's see, I have a list here. I have Agnes Scott, 37.8%, Cedar Crest, 12.3%, Chatham, 13.4%.
Bryn Mawr's 28.4%. Hollins is 21.6%. Is that for last year? Is that what you have?
I have 30.6%.
Okay, okay.
Spelman, 39.3%. They range from as low as 6% to a high of 42%.
Now I know where to go to, you know? We're gonna look at 40%. That's our goal. We're at 18. Let's do 50. Let's do 75. Why not? Got the fire, let's do it.
Okay,
Sue.
so I'm picking up, I'm on the Board of Trustees. This is an issue that's of particular interest to us, and your input on how we can increase those participation rates would be wonderful. The reason I say that is, if you looked at Jane's numbers this morning when she laid out the different schools, the schools that seemed to be doing best were the ones that had steady enrollment and decent endowment. And their endowments could have been between 100 and 200 million. We're at 35 million. And typically, you might roll off 5% a year from that. So think about what 5% is off of 35 million versus 200 million. So from my perspective, I don't want to speak for everybody, but I think they would agree with me. Our financial stability is two-pronged. Enrollment's one, I think endowment is the other. And this is where I think we need to get creative. Different things appeal to different people. And I'm right now in the midst of doing my class gift for my 50th is coming up. I don't like to admit this. But my 50th reunion is coming up. And as an example, one of the things I would point out to any of you working with your classes is my experience in working with the office is they are very happy to work with you if you can match an interest with a need. And that's what we're doing for my class gift. I think you've heard about the need to refurbish. So my class has decided that we're going to refurbish a classroom in this building, Pierce, as our class gift. So it is a need and it's of interest. And we chose Pierce because we all majored in different things, but we all had to take science. Remember when you had to take science? You didn't have to take science, you were lucky. I actually took chemistry and put the lab on fire. So I think God is coming back and telling me.
That's why you have to refurbish it.
I have to now refurbish them. So I'll turn to my peer here, and we'll go back.
So if you stop and think about what an endowment does for you, Susan gives a very good example. We had a $200 million endowment. and we spend 5% of that on a given year. I mean, you can do the math. You can do so much more towards your building maintenance. You can do so much more towards all sorts of things that you want to do on campus. Building a new dormitory, if that is what was determined to do. Refurbing and giving, 18-year-olds. I've raised 3 kids going to college, and they were all vastly different, but walking through the admissions process with them, they all picked out different things of why they went to the college that they did. But across the board, if there's not a really good workout place, if it's not a really cool looking dorm room, if it's not a really cool place to be, it's off the list. I don't know why we let 18-year-olds decide what to do. They don't have a clue what is important. What's important from this institution is our education. And all of you are examples of that. So our endowment is not in a place that it can support what we need to do. The hole in our annual budget, because we are a tuition-driven institution, our annual pullout of our endowment does not cover that gap. Our annual fund is what fills the rest of the hole. So if you're gonna give, and we ask that you do, annual fund would be your #1 choice, because that turns on the lights. I know it's not sexy, I know it's not, exciting, but think of the students that are here now. Think of when you were a student sitting in those seats. There were alums and foundations that were supporting you being there. So we need you now to support the students that are here. If we can get more than our annual fund, then that can go into our endowment, and we can start to build our endowment. But when you spend 5% and you don't make 5% in a given year, if anybody knows where to make 5% in today's economic environment, see me after class.
Can we sell drugs?
Well,
I didn't do that.
but if you don't make what you're spending, your numbers are going down. It's simple business 101. So if you have any questions, we're here to help. And we are here to ask for ideas. How do we reach your classes? How do we engage you in IA helping us help the students?
I want to go back to one point I made in the last session, but because of my senior moment, I forgot it for this session. One of the things that's really important about giving for an alumni base is the participation rate.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I think 18 is dismal. But why it's even more concerning is when we submit proposals for grants from corporations and foundations, one of the data points they look at routinely is participation rate.
How does your stakeholders support you?
Yeah. So we could be getting knocked out of getting money from other sources just on that data point.
And Susan, if I'm not mistaken, they don't ask how much is given.
No, it's
the
a percentage.
Imagine if every alum gives just $1.
Yeah.
No,
That's not a lot of money, that's a grant.
It's a percent.
It's a percentage, and I think that's significant. So let's go ahead and maybe we can have a couple of questions, and maybe the questions will start generating ideas, and we can start moving forward. So yeah, go ahead.
Sarah Grace Johnson Mills, class of '99. In conversations over the past couple of months, I've heard a lot of my squirrel sisters, for lack of a better explanation, say that their husbands, their spouses, their significant others, their friends who went to larger universities were actually educated in, if not junior, senior year of college, their senior year, on these things that we're talking about here today. I didn't know until last year that it didn't matter if I gave $1 or $1 million, that my $1 still counted. And so I think it's very, very important that moving forward with the education of the girls that are here now, that we make it a point to educate them that it doesn't matter how much you give. We appreciate the big gifts, but we appreciate the little gifts too, because that's going to help you all get the money that you need to do the things that you need to do to keep this college viable. And at the end of the day, that is what we all want.
Well, and it also establishes a very good pattern to
Exactly.
continue that over your
Exactly.
lifetime.
Yes.
Yes, one day she's gonna become the CEO
Yes.
or the head of whatever,
Exactly.
and, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
And I think you're absolutely right about that, and I think that's one reason why in recent years we've started senior class gifts, because it does create that culture of giving. And so each senior class decides on a project, whether it's the wall that says Mary Baldwin University on it, or the bell that's, actually the gift usually costs more than what they raise, but it creates that culture of giving, and I think you're absolutely right, and we're working really hard to do that.
Some schools do that, and they call the senior gift their zero reunion, because they haven't had a reunion. It's called a zero reunion.
Yeah, that's clever, union minus. And Leah had a question, and then we'll come up to the front, okay?
Well, just to piggyback off the previous comment, when I was here, I was president of the STARS group, which was, the whole purpose of STARS was twofold. One, to attend events and let alums meet current students, understand what's going on. And secondfold, it was to educate the current student body of the importance of giving, and we did various events. And I think the senior gift is great, but I also think you have to be careful with things like that because, again, it restricts the administration and board of trustees to be able to allocate money to a specific need. And while the bell, I think, is great, and I know it's created great traditions, is that really a need of the college? And so when I was president of STARS, we did, you gave the amount, like it was 2000, if you graduated in 2003, you give $20.03. So it was to help encourage that gift. And if I could just piggyback a second again, in Charlottesville, I was part of what we call the Future Fund, and the whole purpose of the Future Fund was to encourage younger people, a lot of people in this room, to give. You know, the standard of giving is this, you got to be an old white man, and you got to give $20,000 to make a difference. And so I mentioned this before, and I would encourage the board to look at this again. The whole purpose of it was to pool money. So if you were in your 20s, you gave $200, 30s, $300, and so forth. And there was a committee then that met and decided how to allocate that money towards a specific nonprofit in the area, whether it be education, humanities, so forth. If that's an idea like that could be adapted, I think it might encourage giving, and it would also encourage education of why it's important to give in your 20s all the way through your 50s and through estate planning and so forth.
Okay.
Great, thank you. I would echo that as well, and it's frustrating to me sometimes working with current students. They all of them get merit scholarships, and I think they think it comes from a magic pot. And when I tell them, oh no, it comes, you know, what's behind that is donors, it's alums who are giving money and so on. They're stunned to find that out. And I wish there was a way that we could educate them on the fact that part of their ability to get through Mary Baldwin is being subsidized by donors, and that when they leave, they become part of that donor pool, whether they participate or not.
Well, actually, I have a good answer to that. Anybody who does scholarship, I actually have a scholarship I set up, and every year I meet my scholarship student.
Right. Yeah, so I was going to piggyback on that idea. We let them know that if you're receiving money, we let them know it's coming from here. When I was in law school, I had the privilege of earning an academic scholarship, but before they would release my money, I had to literally handwrite a letter and give it to the office who would give it to the donor. And that was the donor's requirement, so maybe we can require that. 16, hang on, 16. She's about to have a kid. If about 60% of our students are receiving these scholarships, then this will be a connection. I mean, I went to law school 10 years ago, but I still remember, dear Dr. Tavares, who is this, you know?
We have started the scholarship tea tradition again, where the students come and
Yes.
understand who their donor are, and where they come from, and they write notes before they leave.
All right, I know that Lindsay.
It was that, we had a hot chocolate social.
Yeah.
I know it, but we had like, so the 2000s and, you know, through at least 6 or 7. And we had to write a letter, and that's what also helps me think, well, I shouldn't stop giving because some student is,
Right.
you know.
I was just gonna jump in and say, I had the same thing, my scholarship donors would come and have lunch with me on campus every year. I would take them to the nut house, we would have lunch and, you know, and I would write them a thank you note after. I don't ever remember being required to do that, but it just, you know, IA would contact me and say, hey, your scholarship people are coming, they'd like to have lunch with you, and I would say, yeah, of course. So I think even if that could be co-opted, even just a bigger way, if it's not a specific scholarship donor, but just do a social of some variety that says, you know, hey, these are some donors to the college. Some of the money you're getting came from these people. Come have a social on the lawn of the president's house or something like that to really connect because you're right, when you're in college, you think that money comes from a ferry, it doesn't occur to you. But yeah, I always remember because they would come and have lunch with me.
No, exactly.
Even if you can't travel, going back and forth of having the socials and even on a budget standpoint of maybe that's a place that you don't have that, you can still have that connection back and forth with one another. When a student is awarded a scholarship, having an alum write them the letter instead of having the standard form, insert name here, put that personalized handwritten letter to the student. That's what I remember receiving, and say, congratulations, you are now a Bailey Scholar. You know, this is something that Mary Baldwin or whatever it is that they are being awarded from the alum that is given to that fund. And so that's when we help increase that alum to student connection. And then again, once that student is accepted and they are coming to Baldwin, they've gotten their scholarship, then they can still write to us. And that is a way for us to continue to bridge the gap and then continue on with the socials later on. But if we can start that from day one and they realize, oh my gosh, these alums really do care about us, with a handwritten letter, oh my gosh, they still exist besides social media. You know, I mean, I'm a middle school teacher. They're like, you still write notes? I handwrite notes to all of my students. And to see them, they go, oh, they treasure them. And for them to see that their college does that, that's a way for us to have people in our school and to keep them here, to know that they're not just a number on a page.
And this really ties into what Jane has, at our board meetings, has said frequently, is like, it's the personal touch that attracts students to Mary Baldwin. So we need to think of creative personal touches. I think this is a really great idea. So go ahead, Jane.
I just want to expand on that just real quickly. I'm Jane Carnegie, class of '83, much older than you all, but I do the handwritten notes too. And I dare say that probably for every single one of us in this room as alums, that part of the reason that we chose Mary Baldwin was some personal connection we received from either somebody in the admissions office, or as we moved through that process, it was a faculty member or someone within the Mary Baldwin community. And I think that that's been a part of the core of who Mary Baldwin has been, is, and will continue to be. And I think that we as alums, that as we move from this day, as we think about what we want to give back to our beloved alma mater, that we certainly, not only in hearing from this session and admissions and others, what Mary Baldwin wants to offer that we can do, but we can reach out to our fellow classmates to say, I had a great time at the summit, or this is what I learned. I'm going to make a gift this year. If you haven't done so, I hope you will as well, because I think we all need that personal contact. I think we need that personal nudge a little bit, and that we can help in partnering with Mary Baldwin and sharing that information as we go forward in what we learned about endowment, fundraising, admissions, what have you. I just think that maybe we've gotten, in our lives, we've gotten a little off that track of personalization with social media and everything. I'm sure that many of you are much more advanced in that than I am, but I still think that personal approach in contact makes a huge, huge difference and brings us back to what we remember about Mary Baldwin.
Yeah, thank you, James. She always argues that so well, articulate. I appreciate that. And seeing all the heads nodding, it means it's still effective. There's a human connection to it, that despite social media has not replaced the personalized notes. It's really important. Mallory, you've been really patient. Do you still have blood in your hands?
I do. I had to switch. So literally 10 minutes ago, this brilliant idea just hit me. I can't believe you all, if you didn't feel the electricity. I had posted earlier in the week on my Facebook account that I was coming here and asked to see who all from classes were coming. I have a lot of alum friends due to being in Buell that are stationed so far away, it would just be totally impractical for them to come. What if they could have just written a check for a tank of gas? That would have made a huge difference. For every event that we do on campus, what if we did a drive to, hey, if you can't come, could you donate the money that you would have spent for a tank of gas? I mean, that could really, and that's such a donation. Yeah, 35.
Like $1 per mile or something like
You
that.
could
What
really make that a big thing that we do for every event, for homecoming, for any military ball, everything. Hey, if
your
you
heart
can't
wants to be here, but you
come, you're
can't.
here in spirit. So many, I'll be here in spirit.
Right.
Well, let's put in,
It's up on the wall.
yeah, if it's
Make it
percentage,
tangible.
especially if it's percentage that matters and not amount, that would really help boost up the numbers.
Terrific, excellent idea, thank you.
Yeah.
You feel the electricity.
Okay.
I'm Becky Kennedy Merchant. My friend Cheryl Block are here from, and we've got you way beat, Jane. But anyway, we have been in charge of our class fundraising for 5 years. And what we did was we had a team of 25 of our friends in the class, and we asked each of them to take 5 or 6 people from our list. It was a fairly small class. So all 25, of course, felt they must contribute. And it was a very small ask for them to call on 5 other people, 5 or 6 other people. And not only that, you got to talk to them. We talked to them. We didn't use social media except email. But it was a way, as you all have said, of staying in touch. It was fun. And we, for our 50th class reunion, we had a 50% participation. We had $50,000.
No, I'm beating you, okay.
And 50 people came.
And
63.
50 people came. Class 63.
Super
Culture. This is
You
great.
guys are the super class.
Yeah, they are.
That's why, because we have.
Well, and we have another idea for us gray hairs. We're in the point now where we're taking out of our IRAs with your RMD.
To get to
And
MBU.
And we can go, it never has to show as income to the individual if you have it directly from your IRA to the university.
So you don't pay taxes on it.
And the taxes.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
let me add something to that. I'm working with Tamara right now because what I've discovered in my class is that a lot of these terms people don't understand. So we're doing a bit of a glossary of the different fundraising, annual fund, restricted gifts, all this kind of stuff is mumbo jumbo to my group. So we're going to be doing sort of a glossary that we hope can be shared with everybody. Once I will dummy proof it on my class, but it will be, we will be able to do it.
One thing I was gonna add on is, another question that I've heard in the past couple months is, if we do this living learning community where we have men on campus, what makes Mary Baldwin at that point different from any other private co-ed college in the state of Virginia? And that's been a big concern because you're gonna get the same education at a similar size school.
No, I disagree.
Well, I disagree, but somebody looking might not. Somebody looking in and might not be able to have the information that we have now, that fact. If we can make our niche the personal touch of reaching out to these students and being there and putting a face with a name before they even have a chance to say, oh, you know what, I might get a better education at Roanoke, or I might get a better education at this school, make that our niche. That's what's going to be the thing that makes Mary Baldwin different, and that's what's going to help draw the students in.
Well said.
Very good.
Well said.
All right. No, I'm sorry, I just say,
It's
for
fine.
some reason, people wearing maroon today, I've been skipping over that. I'm so sorry. Emily and then me.
No, I just was gonna say that I also think that this is obviously something that's really serious and needs to be taken really seriously, but people tend to be more engaged when it's fun. I just, thinking about Data Lead, and I think that's been very successful the last couple of years, and that's always, I'm always at work while that's happening, like checking it on my phone, and it just turns out to be this whole slew of, oh my God, 2007's beating us, 2008, get on there, okay, 2009, okay, and there's this competition element of it that I do think really ups the participation because, I know I've said, hey, wait, we're really close. You 3 people, I know you're 08ers, go donate right now. And so I think there's people respond to competition. You want your class to win, and so I see.
What do you think, spring and fall?
Well, and I'm wondering too if there's other ways to be competitive about it, not just do class year, but say, I know in this room there's 1, 2, at least 3 of us who are gonna do for the poli-sci department instead of, letting the psychology win.
Oh, wow.
Different
majors.
and that's a way to bridge bridge connections between.
Well, I'm eating at 63, so I can tell you.
There you go, exactly. And so I just think that's a way, even alums of different years, okay, you might not be my year, but we're both religion philosophy majors, we're gonna unite to do
Color
this.
competitions, all the scarlet and golds,
Yes.
all the purple and gold.
Yes.
I'm telling you, people love their colors.
Yes.
I got good Christmas time colors with scarlet and gold, and my tree is scarlet and gold.
Right.
Walking to Walmart with scarlet and gold, so you get people behind something like that. Like when we used to do, like the Apple Day, like you'd be like an Apple Day donor or squirrel donor, and like, I remember that being a benchmark for me. When I made no money being a preschool teacher, like next year I'm gonna be in the Apple classifications. So you're like, say,
Yeah,
donor,
yeah,
like
donor
maybe
classification, yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. We
Yeah.
need to really have that.
I just think people respond well to competitive and to reward,
Yeah.
and if you can make it fun, I think you have a better chance of success.
And then we have Leah and
Amy.
Amy, and then Betsy. Okay, Leah?
I'll turn to Amy, because
Okay.
Are we reaching out to parents to donate in their daughters' names?
Yes, in fact, this year we've expanded our parent reach and it's been successful. Yes.
But we have gotten, I'll tell you, we have gotten some blowback on that.
Yeah.
People were offended that some of their parents were reached out to that hadn't been reached out to in some years. And
So like, in the timing with the crisis, so to speak, well, are you now, after 30 years, reaching out to my dad because you're in a financial crisis? Where have you been for 30 years? But if we keep it consistent every year,
Yes,
and
and
we-
what I say to those people is we have to start somewhere. And I get solicitations, I don't know about you all, but in my mail, if it's not a bill, it's a solicitation. And you know what I do with it? If it's not something I'm interested in,
Shred it.
shred it.
File it.
So I appreciate someone's personal feelings, but again, it's not a personal thing. It's an ask. And if anybody takes offense to that, we apologize, but it's not meant to be offensive.
I wonder if on the envelope we put in your daughter's name, dot,
Yeah.
dot, dot. Because my dad, when he received it, he looked at it, he's like, eh, and he threw it away. Yeah. And then I asked him like 2 days ago, I said, oh, did you want it, Jeanette? I'm like, no, it's okay, it is where it is. But I think if he saw that, then he would think, oh, what does this mean? You know,
But we
very
don't
long,
want,
my daughter.
you know, it's not a
Yeah.
matter of putting pressure or not putting pressure.
Yeah.
We're
Right.
reaching out to people that we haven't reached out to in a long
Yeah,
time.
that was the hiccup in that planning, but I think if people expect it every year, we'll be improving on that. And Betsy, and then Catherine, there we go.
I just wanted to dovetail with something 3 or 4 speakers ago was saying about maybe giving twice a year. And since our day of giving is in the spring, it seems like Apple Day or around the time of that would be an obvious, emotionally resonant time to give in the fall. And it would be, it seems like it'd be just perfect.
Yeah.
Mary Jo's birthday and that's.
Right,
Yeah.
right, Founder's Day, Mary Julia's birthday. Who would prefer Apple Day versus Founder's Day? Apple Day?
Apple
Day. Okay, so.
Apple Day was
Our days are good, Apple Days are.
Seriously,
even did it in my year, okay.
How much money is that?
She takes it off every year.
All right, so Betsy, thank you, and Catherine? Yes. And then who's after Catherine? Okay, there we go. Well, what's your name? I just see your name. Melissa, thank you.
And this is also meant to dovetail on several things that have been said, and forgive me, it's coffee o'clock for me. But one thing that I think would improve the quality of a lot of solicitations, and I sometimes the mission and the focus of the solicitation, in my estimation, and from some folks I've talked to, has perhaps not been very well articulated. Okay. And there is a great time and place to, for example, drive giving by giving, right? Like build up a frenzy and get people to compete with each other. But occasionally I have received solicitations that basically the essential message of them, if I mapped them out, was we would like to raise a large amount of money so that we can claim that we have raised a large amount of money. Please give us some money. Which for me personally, did not resonate very well, and I think for other people also, that's perhaps not the best ask. Whereas if you do some more mission focused, we want to raise this large amount of money for thus and such, because we stand for thus and such. It's easy to give to the Sierra Club because you love trees. And so the question is, what tree am I going to be preserving with the money that I'm giving?
And apple tree.
We got 1 minute.
And to talk to that, I know part of the group that came about from all of this asked to be able to give specifically to the Mary Baldwin College for Women. That is now in place. You were heard. There is a bucket, if you will, you can call it that. If you want to make a donation and restrict it specifically to the College for Women, it is available.
It's called
And
Mary
Mary Baldwin College for Women Fund.
And Helen, is there an endowment, or David maybe can answer this, an endowment, can we give specifically to the endowment to say, oh, look, I just got $1 million, I'm gonna give it to Mary Baldwin? Can we give it?
You can direct it.
We can make that happen.
You can make it happen, you heard it, you can make it happen, it's $5 million. All right, and,
Can I just ask one quick question?
yeah, go ahead, Alexander, is that okay,
Yeah.
Melissa, because you were up first? Okay, thank you,
I'm so
Melissa.
sorry, I thought, no, let her go.
Okay, go ahead, Melissa, and then we'll have Alexandra wrap things up and we'll be on to the next session.
All I was going to say was that I find this brainstorming very, very exciting. And you've got representation across the classes. And so there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of energy, and a lot of classes represented and so on. And if there were a way that we could sustain this from now on, whether it would be Union Weekend, or some other.
Every year, maybe?
Yes, every year, where the alumni can get an update on the financials. Because we need that. Well, just FYI, another thing that was heard from the listening tour was an annual report. Now, the thing that you received is a work in progress right now, but there will be an annual report produced every year.
Would you like an annual summit? Informative, for young students?
We need to continue to be part of every year, like, I
Is that
wonder if
reunion?
that can be tied in to an alumni type of.
The reunion is like every 5 years, it's like, But if we invite people every year to come to a summit and to, re-energize the batteries, so to speak, and keep the interest, and you guys take this home, and you tell your friends to come next year, let's do it, let's carpool, you can't give us money for the gas, I think it's a really great idea, Melissa.
Did we do Alumni College weekend?
We did.
That was amazing. That was wonderful. I love that.
That was
good.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, that's been the best part of this weekend, is the joining of many different classes.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I had lots of friends in 99, or, and reunions don't give you that.
Well, that's
Can you bring us a final suggestion?
Sure. One of my best takeaways from today is definitely your point about matching the need to the gift. I think that's one way we can all feel like we're mission aligned in terms of our targeted giving. I just have a quick question on how do you decide, or I don't know who can answer this, on in terms of facilities maintenance. How facilities maintenance issues are prioritized in terms of targeted giving and things like that. Because I know, for example,
We have a long, well, David can tell, but we discuss this in our board meeting. We have a long list, and there are priorities to the list.
there's emergencies every year.
Well, yeah, but while we chose, for instance, Pierce has been on that list for a long period of time to have renovations, and, I've done some. But given the importance of STEM, you all know what STEM is? And the desire to recruit STEM students, they're going to be looking at facilities. And that was one of the things that helped my class make the decision that this is what we wanted to do. But we presented the ideas to them based on need.
To answer your question, though, there is a list.
There's a long
of-
list.
Of deferred maintenance that needs to be done. And things are done by priority with David and Brett looking at it and figuring out, okay, what are we going to work on this year? And then
what time of
this
year
year,
is that decided?
It's ongoing.
it's an ongoing process.
Yeah,
Because
simply-
like this year, there was a blowout of a water main on not Page Terrace. It is Page Terrace. No,
Yes, it is.
Page Terrace. There was a blowout of a water main. Well, you can't
Defer that.
you have to fix it.
Right.
So hence,
That means we have a large contingency every year.
so then you pull part of that, to fix that hole. So therefore, something got moved down the list in your deferred maintenance. So it's a juggling act.
Okay, I'm so sorry, I don't want to run over. Okay, so I had written a long email back in, I think it was late August, early September. I was over at the PAC facility. I actually saw a freshman and a mother fall on the steps. They fell, and I actually helped them back up. And I was really afraid that they were actually going to file some sort of something against the college. And I wrote a letter, and it started a chain of email, and then just died out. What's happening with that? Like, that's a death trap. The stairs over by the PAC facility, they're crumbling. I don't know if you all did it.
You're talking the concrete stands.
The concrete.
Yes.
Over by the
stands
Is it possible to have the list, or you can share that list with us, or at least part of it, your top item, and then ask people or ask classes, hey, here's our need, if you want to fill the need, or be part of the need, maybe it costs too much money for one class, but several classes, whatever.
Yeah, the way we think about this is, there's the short term and the long term. The long term is guided by our campus master plan. Okay, we'll set that aside because that's not really what you're talking about. So each year with the limited amount of funds we have expendable each year, we think across the institution, we think about things like that that unfortunately we haven't gotten to. It's what are the safety requirements? What are the requirements associated with that building? The grounds, concrete work, that sort of thing. What are the investments we need to make to improve the lived environment for students? This year we're investing in furniture, and Woodson has an investment in Spencer, those sorts of things. What do we need to do? All this painting we need to do around this institution, so we have a painting plan. And then there's technology. So we spread it out over all those categories. Then we have conversations throughout the institution. What do you think are the most important things? And we have conversations with students periodically as well about these things. But there's no reason why we can't take that process and extend it into our communications with you all. I mean, that's a good idea.
But the one thing I'll go back to, and I will hammer home, our annual fund is the #1 place that we need you all to give. If we go over our annual fund budget, that can roll over into deferred maintenance. Annual fund fills the hole in our annual budget. So it's wonderful that classes want to do that, but if they're going to look at that as their gift of the year to the school, and then they're not going to give to the annual fund, you're not helping. You're helping a certain aspect, but we have to have a balanced budget. Does that make sense?
Balanced budget. We will end on that note, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming. We hope you found it useful. We are going to do our best as the Alumni Board to continue this after today, so stay tuned.